and welcome back to the PhatPhish Guitar Studio. I'm Dave, and in this video we're going to continue looking at extended chords. Now, I did a couple of videos a little while ago talking about 9 chords, which is basically an introduction to the world of extended chords. If you haven't seen those, if you're not familiar with general chord theory and whatnot, then I'll put some links in the information section down there, some of the videos you might want to have a look at first. Otherwise you might get a little bit lost off with some of the theory that we're going to be talking about in this video. To quickly recap though, we talked in the early videos about the idea of being able to take notes from a scale and harmonise those out to give you chords. So you could take 3 notes from a scale to give you a triad. So basically taking the 1st, the 3rd and the 5th degree gives you a triad. Add a 7th degree in there to give you a 7 chord, or you could extend beyond the 7 chord by adding a 9th degree. That gives us a 9 chord. So in this video I want to introduce the idea of 11 chords. So if you understand the idea behind building triads and 7 chords and 9 chords, this is all very, very logical, and it kind of just should all slot into place. You've got the idea that if you've got a scale, so if we say C major, where you've got the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C, we're going to number those as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. But then for extended chords we start thinking about the C, the next octave up, as being an 8, the D, the next octave up, as being the 9, and we'll keep going. So E in the next octave up is the 10, and F in the next octave up would be the 11. So if we take alternate notes to build a chord, so we took like the way we would take a 1, 3 and 5, add those together to make a triad, introduce a 7th degree to give us a 7 chord, a major 7 chord in this case. We add in the 9th degree to give us the major 9 chord. What we can do is keep extending through the scale and add in the 11th degree, in this case that's an F, and that gives us a C major 11 chord. So just looking at the notes in the C major scale, taking the 1st, the 3rd and the 5th to give us a major triad, the 7th degree gives us a major 7, bring in a 9th degree to give us a major 9, and keep extending that chord and add in the 11th degree, and we get a major 11 chord. It's a chord with the formula 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 11. So the harmonies are starting to get richer because we're bringing in more notes. Now you're probably starting to think, how can you play that chord? And it does start to get a bit tricky as we extend chords and we introduce more notes. Some of the fingerings can get a little bit difficult. But 2 things to bear in mind here. Actually 3 things. Firstly, music theory is transferable. So the sort of chords that I'm talking about here, I play guitar. You probably play guitar as well if you're watching this channel. But music theory is music theory. So this would the notes that we're talking about and the chord theory applies to any instrument. So if you're playing like a keyboard instrument, possibly it's a little bit easier to play some of these chords just because of the way that the notes are laid out on a piano keyboard. Guitar starts to get a little bit tricky and you kind of run out of fingers sometimes. But what you should bear in mind is that you don't have to approach chords as chords, you could approach them as arpeggios as well. So if you think about, and this is where PhatPhish can help you, so if you fire up your copy of PhatPhish, if you haven't got a copy of PhatPhish, there's links in the information section down there to where you can go on the PhatPhish website and download it. So if you put PhatPhish into arpeggio mode and select C as your root note and the type of chord as major 11, and we can see the notes of the major 11 chord all over the fingerboard, and you can start to pick out arpeggio shapes. So we've got, say, starting off on the 8th fret on the bottom E string, we've got the C there. Then we've got the 3rd degree at the 7th fret on the 5th string. We've got the 5th degree at the 5th fret on the 4th string. And we've got the 7th degree at the 9th fret on the 4th string. So that's basically a C major 7 arpeggio. But we can extend that, we can add in the 9th degree. So the 9th degree of C is D, So we've got a D there at the 7th fret on the 3rd string, and the 11th degree of C is F, and we've got an F here at the 6th fret on the 2nd string. So that gives us basically a C major 11 arpeggio. And as you can see from PhatPhish, when you look at the fingerboard as a whole, there's lots of different ways you could find fingerings for that major 11 arpeggio. Okay, something else to think about as well is if you're playing in a band context, you don't have to play all of the notes of the chord yourself. If you think about you're playing alongside another guitar player, or you're playing with a bass guitarist, if the bass guitarist is playing sort of like strong notes from the chord, you could possibly not play the root degree, you could not play the 5th degree. If the bass player is playing those, then what the audience is hearing is the notes from the bass player and the notes from you, and it's all coming into their ears together, and they'll be hearing those notes together as this overall extended chord, if you see what I mean. So if you're playing with other musicians, you can play partial chords, or you can have two guitarists play half a chord each, or whatever. There's different ways you can do it, but you don't have to single-handedly try and play all the notes of the chord yourself when you're playing in a chordal context. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. Okay, so that chord, or that arpeggio that we looked at there, it's got 6 notes in it. It's got a 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 11. And that's a major 11 chord. Now, when we looked at 9 chords, if you remember, I said that if you extended a 7 chord by putting a 9th degree in there, it was a 9th chord. So a major 7 chord with a 9th degree is a major 9. What we could also consider doing is taking a major triad, the 1, 3, 5, and adding a 9th degree in to give you an add 9. And the same sort of thing applies with 11 chords, and it starts to get a little bit more complicated because you've got options for what you do with the 7th degree and what you do with the 9th. So, an 11 chord that includes all of the degrees from root through to the 11th, so 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 11, that's a major 11 chord. If you just take a major 7 chord and add the 11 on, so there's no 9th degree, there's a couple of names for that. We could call that a major 7 add 11, or we could call it a major 11 no 9. But the namings should be fairly logical to you. It kind of says what it is. Or we could not put in the 7th or the 9th, so we've just got the 1, 3, 5 add the 11th degree. So that would just be a major add 11. It's a major triad with an 11th degree added. It's not an extended chord because we don't have the 7th and the 9th there. We've not extended the chord right the way through, we're just adding notes in. So the naming's fairly logical. And the examples we're talking about there are all basically major chords of some description. Major triad, major 7 chord, major 9, major 11, major 7 add 11, or major 11 or 9, or major add 11. But the same theory applies to minor chords as well. So if you think about the formula for a minor 9 chord, so it's 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9. Bring an 11th degree in there, that gives us a minor 11 with the formula 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11. Again, if we didn't have the 9th degree in there, we'd have a minor 7 add 11. If we have the minor triad with an 11th degree added, it's a minor add 11. And similarly with, say, dominant chord 1, 3, 5 and flat 7, you can extend that to include a 9th to give us a dominant 9, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9. Extend that to include the 11th degree, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9, 11. It's a dominant 11 chord. If we don't have the 9th degree in there, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 11, it's either a dominant 11 no 9, or it's a dominant 7 add 11. As I've said before about chord theory, it might look a little bit daunting at first when you're seeing all these numbers and that, but really when you look at it, it's really logical. It's all about taking a scale, taking alternate notes from that scale and putting them together to build a chord. As we get into more complex chords where we're adding in like 9th degrees and 11th degrees and so on, we've got options for not putting some notes in, so this is when we get into add chords rather than just extended chords. But the naming is still fairly logical. Because this is kind of a quick video to introduce the idea of 11 chords. There'll be another one coming along soon. We'll talk about applying this theory a little bit more to harmonise scales out in 11 chords. Now if you're already familiar with scale theory and chord theory and so on, you might want to kind of jump ahead and see if you can work out for yourself how you apply that theory and harmonise scales out in 11 chords and add 11s and whatnot. But for now, just what this video, like I said, is just an introduction to the idea of what 11 chords are, and the next video we'll talk a little bit more about the harmony side of things. Okay, that's all for now. I hope you found this useful. If you did, please click like, please subscribe. If you've got a question or suggestion for a future video, you could leave it in the comments, but to be honest, YouTube's a bit rubbish at letting me know when people comment on videos, so your best bet is to go here, fill the form in, send your question in, and I'll try and get around to answering it in a future video. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video sometime soon. Bye for now.